Hello, happy stampers. This is Kate with Kate's Paper Creations, here with my weekly hashtag simple stamping video and blog, where beautiful cards are simply made. There we go. So I typically show you the simple card. We'll be doing that one. And then I have a little bit of a stepped up version to show you. This is my simple card. And inks, paper, and stamps. And yet I think it is still also very lovely. So let me show you how we made this card. I started out with a very vanilla thick base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4 to make an A2 top fold greeting card. I'm going to put this on here with just a little bit of repositional adhesive just to hold it in place. That'll rub right off when we're done here. And I'm going to stick it down so it matches all the grid marks on my grid paper. And then I'm going to bring in a ruler. The reason I'm doing this is I want to get my sentiment straight, and I had a hard time doing that. So I decided to try and do it this way. So this is going to go on there. It's my decorative strip. And I'm going to put it on there about 1/2 inch up. So it's going to go like this. And then that first, let's put some removable on that as well. So yeah, 1/2 inch up. Get that on the marks. There we go. That'll hold that in place. Then I brought my ruler in and a pencil, and I'm just going to very, very lightly create a line to follow for my sentiment. And like I say, this is because I was having a little bit of trouble with it. So I'm going to come up just a single line, 1/4 inch, and I am going to draw just a very faint line. It will erase nicely. And then I'm going to come up another 1/4 inch from that line and make another line. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and stamp that one. So that is this sentiment from the bottom of my heart, and I am stamping it with cinnamon cider. And I've kind of got to get in here and see, so hopefully this will work for you too, to see what I'm doing. And then we'll erase that line. There we go. And then I'm going to put it back on here. And you don't have to do this. I mean, if you've got an eye for it, but for some reason this particular stamp I was having trouble getting it straight. Now the thank you, not so much, but definitely with the other. And it's going to get stamped with cinnamon cider as well, and I'll show you all the sets that these came from in just a moment. There we go. So there's my sentiment. So I can take this off. We'll get rid of that removable adhesive. We don't need that on there anymore, and we'll set that aside. Okay. The stamp sets I'm using are Gorgeous Leaves, and I'm going to be using this particular stamp here and this particular stamp there. Then I'm also going to be using the sentiment which came from Ornate Thanks. The thank you from the bottom of my heart came from Ornate Thanks. The colors I'm using today are Cajun Craze, Crushed Curry, Pear Pizzazz, and Cinnamon Cider, as well as Crumb Cake. Okay, now let's see how I did this. This is my strip that's going to go right here, and it is just really, really lovely. I started with Crumb Cake and that splatter design that's in the set, and I stamped it, and I stamped it off. And so I stamped it, inked it, stamped it off, inked it, stamped it off. I didn't want it too dark because then it starts to interfere with the other stamping. And there I just did it. I got out of sync. Let's start again. When I'm talking, sometimes I can't think and talk at the same time. That's pretty bad, huh? There. So that's all done. Now I will start stamping. Here's the leaf stamp. Clean it up because I've been using it. And I started with Cajun Craze. Make sure it's inked good. And I put that first leaf on there. And your orientation and all of that is totally up to you. And I stamped this leaf onto just a piece of copy paper. This was a sticky note. I put some removable adhesive on the back, and I created a small stencil. When you're cutting out your stencils, as I've said before, you cut them out slightly smaller than your image, like you can see here, because then you don't get those white gaps between your stamped images. Okay, so the next one I'm going to stamp, and I'm just going to stamp this off on my scrap paper. I'm not going to try and clean that stamp between every single thing. And each time I stamp, I'm just going to move my little mask down. Next one, Pear Pizzazz. You know, and how much you have them overlap, and that's going to kind of actually change a little bit every time. You can't make two exactly the same, but basically the same. And then Cinnamon Cider. Oopsie. Turn that back over. And I've used this mask multiple times. It's still holding up. Sometimes you might have to refresh your... let's go back to Crushed Curry. I need to get a wireless mic. My cord is getting in my way. And move that one down. And then I'm going to do another Pear Pizzazz. That looks good. And then I think I'll come back and do another Cajun Craze. And I just kind of tried to turn the leaves so they were all going in different directions and stuff like that. I'm going to save that because we're going to be using it again for another project. Okay, so there's that piece. Then I just took this piece and put a Stampin' Seal on the back. And this piece is 1 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it goes over the full length of the card. Again, it's from Very Vanilla cardstock. And I think I'm going to put this on here and come up my 1/2 inch. Use my grid paper to kind of help keep myself in line. And there we go. So there is today's simple stamping card. And it's beautiful. Okay, now I always try to show you a little bit of a step-up card or something that takes a little bit more effort to make. And so this is what I'm going to be doing for the step-up card. And it's not huge, but I couldn't, what I did, and I didn't want to make you sit through it all, but I'm going to show you what I did, okay? So I took another piece of Very Vanilla Thick. It is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and it's going to be scored at 4 1/4, just like that. And for this particular project, I have added gold foil. So this is 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is 1 1/2 by 5 1/2. And I will be layering it. I went ahead and stamped this one ahead of time because you've already seen how I did it, so you didn't have to watch that again. And so let's go ahead and attach that to the gold strip. Centering it top to bottom so it has that 1/8 inch border. And then that's going to go on our card like that. We'll set that aside for now. Then I added, using the Meadow Moments embossing folders, and there's one in there that has these really pretty little leaves. and some dots. And I just need to make sure which side's the side that I want to be the front of the card, which is this one, because it's the one that's going to be raised up when I take it out of the card. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to situate this so that it's just right on the edge, and you can see it because your score mark is there, or your fold mark, and you can get it very, very close so that it works perfect. It's going to go into the Stampin' Cut emboss machine just like that. So I'm going to put it in like this. Excuse me. So it'll go in. I want you to see this. It's going to go in like this, and when let me turn it back around. It's going to go in this way first, and I'm going to roll it in, and when I feel it getting to the end here, I'm not going to go clear off the edge, otherwise it will create a wrinkle, a line, and you don't want that. So stop short and then back it out. Okay, and of course the sandwich for this, it's a standard embossing folder, so all you have to do is take out the number 2 plate. You take out the number 2 plate and use 2 cutting plates and you're good to go. Okay, so let me go off screen here and do that. And you can feel it when you're getting close to the edge. You can feel it, and just stop. It's okay, because all that's down there in that lower part of the design, even if you don't go clear to the edge, are the little polka dots, and you're not going to miss them if they don't get on there, all of them. Okay, so there you go. I stopped short, and there it is, no line. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And then we can go ahead and fold it again, and look, it's perfect. So easy to line up. We'll rescore that just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to be using a blender pen, and I am going to color those leaves with the same colors that I used for these leaves. And it's kind of fun to do, and all you got to do is just get a little bit of ink and take a really light hand. You don't need to, just be very careful. The lighter you press, the easier it will be. And you're just looking at those raised portions. I'm going to get some different lighting here for me. Hopefully it won't mess up what you're looking at. And I'm just very lightly. And you're going to get various tones. When you first dip your brush into the ink pad, the colors come off kind of dark. And then they get lighter as you use them. That's okay, actually. I kind of like that. It just gives some variation in color, because nature isn't all one solid color that never changes. And those stems, you just very lightly just touch those stems. And I'm just choosing a few of them to do. And when I think I've got enough, I'll move on to the next color. And I wasn't going to do this. I was actually going to try and have some of this done, and I didn't think to do it ahead. So you've got to kind of watch for a little while how I'm doing that. But today's cards were so beautiful, they're worth waiting for, right? And so it does take a little bit of a careful hand, and they won't necessarily look perfect, but that's okay too. You look at my final card and my sample and that, and you'll see it really is quite lovely. And I'm going to be doing another project with this same technique in a future video. So let's see, I think we need at least one more. Let's do this one up here. And this one here. I didn't look at my clock. I'll probably end up having my clock go chirpy chirpy here pretty soon, but oh well. And then to clean these off, I just get the worst of the color off by turning it and rubbing it sideways until it starts to fade out. And then it's faded out good enough. Okay, we're going to go on to crumb cake. We're going to add some crumb cake to this and start coloring some crumb cake leaves. Or not crumb cake, excuse me, crushed curry. And that's that one. Let's do one up here. And you can follow those raised portions pretty easily. It's not hard to do. You can always come back after you're done and kind of look it over and see if there's any touch-ups you need to do. But this is something, excuse me, instead of getting in a hurry, you just need to take your time and it'll come out fine if you just take your time doing it and be patient with yourself, not have to hurry through it. You're going to spend maybe 2 or 3 minutes coloring these. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. If you can just relax and enjoy it, and it ends up making a very special card. And, you know, I think it's, when you think about the fact that you're going to be giving it to someone special or possibly selling it for someone who's going to use it for someone special, it's worth the effort. You know, I craft in my room because I love to do it. It's a fun hobby for me, and the fact that I can sell some product and make just a little bit of money and that as well, that's just a bonus, because I just love to do it, and I love to get together with my friends and do it. And I've got a play date planned. You know, we planned play dates for our kids. Well, I'm planning a play date for myself next week. And friends coming over, and she's one of my downline, and we're gonna just get together. And got a lot of ink on that one. Okay, now we're on to Pear Pizzazz. And I don't know why, but whenever we get to fall and fall colors and fall cards with leaves and pumpkins and all of that, have a tendency to always associate that with thankfulness. So these cards will say thank you. But you can make fall colors and make it be a different occasion. You can have fall colors and make it for a birthday, or make it more masculine card. You can see I'm turning this a lot to just make it easier for me to see, and that's what you'll be doing as well when you color like this. It just, yeah, I need to touch that. There we go. It's already starting to look really lovely, isn't it? You get that mix of colors, and I just kind of guessed at the colors. I thought, oh, for green, what do I want to do? And I thought about going darker, and I go, no, I like that Pear Pizzazz. It's got the yellow undertones, which is kind of where fall leaves start to go. They kind of start to turn yellow, and so I thought that was a good choice for the green and the Pear Pizzazz. A friend of mine just recently bought me a pair of earrings. They're birch leaves dipped in gold, and that kind of inspired me to do this. Okay, next is the cinnamon cider, and that'll be the last of my leaves. The cinnamon cider is kind of a brown, but it's an orangey brown. Again, more like what I think real leaves would do, is go orangey brown. If they're brown, they're dead. I don't want to think about them being dead, so I'm gonna color them with this orangey brown that gives them that sweet look. I do have the link to my online store in the description box below, and if you haven't got a demonstrator or aren't one yourself, I'd love to have you shop with me. You can go online there and order 24/7, and it gets delivered to your door. And in light of the current changes with the coronavirus again, that is always kind of a nice option to have, that you don't have to go out. It comes right to you. I do have host codes, that I prefer to use for people who order less than $150, less than $150. And the host codes are on my blog. You can go there and get the current host code, which would be sincerely appreciated. It helps me pick up some extras from time to time, and anyone who places an order with me online or in person, because I have a couple people who let me help them get their orders, and I still have it shipped direct to them. Anybody who does that and spends $50 or more in merchandise, I send them a thank you gift, and that's what I use. I use those host rewards points to buy thank you gifts. So you might get a piece, a set of dimensionals. You might get a retired stamp set. You might get, just kind of depends on what I've got in my drawer at the time. Sometimes it's bling, retired bling, and I just share it. So order online and let me send you a gift to thank you for your purchase. Okay, there we go. It's all colored. Now we're just going to attach this piece on here, and how high or how low we go is, again, I think I'm just going to do, maybe just 3/8 of an inch from the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, there isn't a right or wrong way necessarily. It's got glue on my fingers. Let me get rid of that because I can't get it to let go of me. There we go. And it's still sticky. Okay, there we go. And just like that. So there's that. And then this cute little thank you that came from Pansy Patch, I believe. Yes. And it's just the cutest little thank you. I'm going to be using 3 different colors. I'm going to start with the cinnamon cider. And I just placed it anywhere where I could get it in where there weren't little polka dots to get too much in the way. So there's that one. Then I'm going to do one in Pear Pizzazz. It's going to come sit right in here. And then I'm going to do one with Cajun Craze. Right down in here. And there we go. There's today's Step Up project. Just a little bit different than original, but along the same lines. So I hope you enjoyed today's projects. They were a lot of fun for me to make, and I'm glad you stopped by. So there we go.